Henry Howard, Earl of Surrey. In January 1547, England was a tense and fearful place. King Henry VIII was dying. His once powerful body was failing, and everybody at court knew that when the king died, everything could change. In those final weeks, suspicion ruled. Old friendships meant nothing, and ambition could be deadly. It was in this dangerous atmosphere that Henry Howard, one of the most brilliant noblemen of his generation, found himself trapped. Henry Howard was young, proud, and extremely talented. He was a poet, a soldier, and a man who believed deeply in honour and noble blood. He came from one of the most powerful families in England, the Howard family, and that alone made him dangerous in the eyes of the king. Henry VIII had grown fearful of strong noble houses, especially those with royal blood and the influence. His sharp tongue and his refusal to hide his pride only made things worse. The charge against him was treason. He was accused of using royal symbols that suggested he had a claim to the throne. In Tudor England, this was no small matter. Even hinting at royal ambition could cost you your life. Whether Henry Howard truly intended any challenge did not matter. What mattered was that Henry VIII believed he might. And in the final days of his reign, the king was in no mood for mercy. Henry Howard was arrested and taken to the Tower of London, a place already heavy with fear and sorrow. Inside those cold stone walls, he waited for his fate. Unlike many others who had passed through the tower, Surrey knew exactly how dangerous his position was. He had seen executions before. He knew how quickly favour could turn into death. Still, he remained defiant, refusing to beg or show fear. On the morning of 19th of January 1547, Henry Howard was led out onto Tower Hill. The air was cold and a crowd had gathered. Executions were public events, meant to be warnings. People whispered as they saw him approach. This was no common criminal. This was a poet, a nobleman, a man once close to the heart of power. Henry Howard walked calmly. Witnesses later said he showed no fear, no weaknesses. He was dressed carefully, as noblemen often were for executions, knowing their final appearance would be remembered. When he reached the scaffold, he climbed the steps with steady resolve. He looked out at the crowd, aware that these were the last steps he would climb. He spoke before his death, as this was customary. His words were controlled and thoughtful. He declared his loyalty to the king and denied that he had ever meant harm to the crown. There was no wild pleadings, no desperate outcry. Instead, he accepted his fate as a nobleman, believing that history might one day judge him more kindly. The execution was swift. With a single blow, Henry Howard was beheaded. His life ended not because he had raised an army or plotted rebellion, but because fear and suspicion had taken hold at the heart of Tudor power. He was just 30 years old. What makes his death especially tragic is what happened next. Henry VIII died only a few days later. On the 28th of January 1547, had Henry Howard lived just a little longer, he might have survived. Once the king was gone, the charge against him would likely have lost its power. His execution became one of the final acts of a reign marked by paranoia and bloodshed. Despite his execution, Henry Howard's legacy did not die with him. His poetry survived. He is remembered as one of the most founders of English Renaissance verse, introducing new styles that later poets would build upon. In death, he achieved what he never could in life: freedom from the dangerous world of Henry VIII's court. The execution of Henry Howard stands as a powerful reminder of how unstable Tudor England could be. Talent did not protect you, noble blood did not protect you, even loyalty was no guarantee. When a king ruled by fear, survival often came down to timing alone. Today, Henry Howard is remembered not as a traitor, but as a victim of a dying king's mistrust. His execution was not just the fall of one man, but a final grim echo of Henry VIII's long and violent reign.